Good morning, everybody. Sarah here. It's Wednesday again. Doesn't that come around quickly? But anyway, nice to see you. I can see you've got some familiar faces on board already. So let's have a look. We've got Jan, and we've got Jitty, and Ruth, and Josephine, and Paula, and Alison, and Tina, and Amelia, and Francis, and Edward. I'm good, thank you, Edward. I hope you are well, and Lynn. And I'm probably going to say this wrong, so I do apologise, but Oluyomi, what a lovely name, Oluyomi. I wonder, does that mean something? That's a very nice name. Linda, Jenny, Anne, and Jodie. So good morning, everybody. Are you feeling festive? As you can see, my Christmas tree is bedecked. Actually, it's mainly covered in stuff that I've done for Totallybeads, to be honest. I've got my garland up there. So there's my garlands that we did a couple of weeks ago. Excuse me. I've got a terrible frog in my throat this morning. And I've also got something we're going to be doing next week. If you watched Kitty yesterday, morning, Sandra, Monica, Jen, Carol, Sue. Good. I'm glad you're all right, Edward. It's always nice to know that everybody's comfortable because it's a bit chilly out there, isn't it? It's been a bit, ooh. Anyway, if you watched Kitty do the wreath yesterday, next Wednesday, which will be my last one for this year, obviously, because we're coming up to the festive season. So next Wednesday, I will be doing another item that you can do, another Christmas decoration that you can do with those beads. Excuse me. I'm also including memory wire and some, there's the Christmas assorted metal deck. So about this big. Actually, I can give you a sneaky peek of what we're doing. Hold on. There's one. Yay! Or all sorts of charms you can pop on the bottom as well. And hopefully, if you've ordered the kit from yesterday, we can do it together. You know, we can work along, and rather than it being demonstration, do a little bead along just before the Christmas period. So this is memory wire, and this is 0.6mm memory wire, and the metal charms and the beads from yesterday's wreath. So you can sort of pop your order. Oh, Josephine, hello, welcome. She says, I'm new to your site. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So, and Sue says Christmas trees out yesterday. So you can join in next Wednesday and we can make that together. It'll be our last project before Christmas. I do like them because they're boingy. The problem is my cats also like them very much. So I'm keeping them here to enjoy. Anyway, that's next week. Put that back on the tree. Right, so we've got Hello Kitty, we have got Carol and Pamela and Pauline and Lucy. She said, running late this morning, just woken up. Well, I think it's one of those days. There you go. Kitty has just put up the link to the assorted Christmas metally dangly things that I'm going to be using next week. So if you want to pop those in your basket today, you could join in with us next Wednesday and do sort of a little bead along. Why not? I thought that would be fun. Anyway, so that's enough of next week. Let's look at today. So I made this for myself the other night. Let me just pop you over to the hands. There we go. Now I've had these marble beads, this is 6mm marble beads, in my stash for a little while, and I just adore them. These are the blue ones. They look like little planets to me. I think they're absolutely adorable. So I wanted to play and to make something, but I wanted it to be quite simple. I didn't want to distract too much from the beads themselves, so I have partnered them with the 2x3mm little crystal rondelles in there. So let's just get those a little bit more focused. I have ordered myself a new webcam, which should be here before Christmas, which is going to make focusing so much easier. I'm so excited. I am also very easily pleased. The webcam has been out of stock for 2 months. It's finally back in stock, so I ordered it yesterday. So hopefully there'll be no more of this wobbling around when I'm trying to refocus. But there we go. That's what we've got. We've got these beautiful, beautiful beads. I've also got, because I'm obviously going to make it again, so I've made it there in the blue. I also have in my stash the red Morning Lorna. I also have it on the red, and I have it in the black. That's yes, Susan, boingy, boingy. I do have a tendency to make up my own words. Apparently, I think they sound completely normal and sane, and they should be words. But Paul just tells me I make them up. I've also got in my rondelles, I've got hematite, I've got red, I've got, I think that's probably, that may be grey or it might just be crystal, and I have the blue. So we're going to have to decide in a moment which ones I'm actually going to use. Mina says she was on training for new phone system. That sounds terribly complicated. I couldn't cope with that in the this morning. So excuse me while I drink coffee. So we have to decide first of all what colours we're going to do. So actually, Sue said red is nice and festive. I think you're right, actually. I'm doing these as bracelets, but you can do them as necklaces if you want. Just to give you an idea, this is a full strand of the marble beads. So if you were doing it as a necklace, you would probably need 2 strands of the colour. So Tina's gone for black and silver, which would be that one and probably that one. That's rather fetching, isn't it? And then we've got the red. We seem to have lots of votes for red because of the festive. I quite like those two together, actually. That, or maybe the crystal. So we've got to decide whether to go for the hematite, the red and the hematite, or the red and the clear. Sorry, Tina. It looks like it's going to be. It's definitely going to be. I've got votes for red. I think the red and the red. That's just those will disappear. I want something with a bit of contrast. So we're still to decide. I think we're agreed on that we're doing the red. Oh, I can see red with the black, red with the crystal, red and silver. Ooh. It's still level peggings between those two. Anyway, while you guys are voting, let's have a look at the page so that we can see what's actually where you can get your pieces. So here we go. Here is the page, and I'm doing the marble bracelet. Very unoriginally named because they are marble beads. And here you go. So we've got this fabulous, Simon's put together a really nice bundle for us. Individually, they are £1 a strip. So as I said, for the necklace, you're going to want 2, maybe 3 strands. You could also mix up the colours as well if you didn't want them all to be the same colour. So we've got all of those individual ones in there. And then we've also got, he's given us a lovely discount on the set of 10. So the 10 strands, if you buy them individually, they're £10. He's given us a nice little 30% knockoff there. Price reduction down to 7. So here we go. These are all the other colours you can add to your stash. I think there's one of each in the bundle. So if there's a particular one you want to make a necklace of, I think it's worth buying the bundle and then an extra strand for you to play with. So yeah, these will make nice gifts as well. So great fun to use. So let's go back to the hands. Right. So let's have a quick look at we've got red and crystal, red and silver, red and black, red and crystal, red with the black, red and silver. I think it's going towards the red and the crystal here. So I'll have a go with those two because they are all beautiful. I mean, that's beautiful too, isn't it? Anyway, so if this looks like the earth, This will be Mars, the red planet. Why not? Why not? So let me just get these pieces out of the way and we'll get our tools together. So I'm just going to put those in my little pouch. Right, you see, I'll show you sort of how it works with the design process. I was trying this out. I think I undid the other ones because I wanted to redo the pieces. But you see, you're sort of trying to work out how many crystals it's actually going to fit nicely. So this is, I was trying it with one rondelle. I also did it with 3, and that just made it curve and it wouldn't sit flat. So I end up with lots of little pieces like this, where it's sort of, that's not worked. So it's just you know, you're sitting down with your pile of beads. Kitty will know this because all bead designers pretty much have to do the same thing. You've got an idea, but you have to play around with it quite a bit before it becomes what you actually want it to be. So I end up with little packs of these, and then when I look at them again I think, what was I trying to do? So if I remember, I will take that apart and put them back in their little bag so I can use them again. So anyway, I'm going to first of all snip open my set of, there we go, slide some of those off, put the rest out of the way, and then I've got my crystals. Do the same with my crystals. I'll take that one off in a minute. Right, so I've got a little pile to be starting with here. And obviously that's what we're looking to do. This is actually a right angle weave. So you could, if you wanted to, add another set along the side here to continue the pattern, to make it wider bracelet if you want to. It's up to you. Because that's what I love about beading. You can take something, you can take an idea, or somebody shows you something, and then you can play with it. And you can make lots of, I mean, something like this, you make a little bit and then you take it apart and you reuse, and you keep playing with it until you don't have to make the whole thing, until you get the idea of what you're actually trying to achieve in your head. So Joanne, good morning. I haven't that's Joanne. She says, all good morning, Sarah. Morning all. I haven't missed you guys today. Yay. No, you have not missed us. You have not missed us. So now I'm dropping everything on the floor. So that's a good start. I've then got my beading thread. So I'm using Wildfire, but you can use whatever one you want, whatever is your favourite. And I'm going to pop on, I'm going to leave quite a long tail at the end. And I tend to do this with a right angle weave or something like this, because I can actually then finish off. I start with my first right angle weave piece. But then I'm left with this long tail, which will allow me to finish off the other end without having to rethread and put another thread on. All I do is I pop my needle on that end and I can sew that in. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I've got my beading needle threaded, and I'm going to pick up 4 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then I'm going to slide them down. So there's my first 4. Oh, Mina says it's the 3rd telephone system I'm learning to use since lockdown. Goodness me, goodness me. And then I'm going back all through all 4 there. And just pull it tight. So to make a little square. So I'm just pulling that tight, ease them around a little bit, pull it tight, and we've got our first square here. And now I'm just going to, having that long tail is slightly annoying at this point because it does get in the way, but once we get started it will be out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. So I'm going to go through again to secure that. And pull that tight. And I'm going through and coming out the opposite. So that's if that's my start, that's my finish. Red down middle, black on edge. Oh yes, that would be nice if they add this in. Yeah, with another colour. So Lorna says red big bead down middle, black on edge. So if you were doing that, you would do the next bead here would be black, then you'd be red, then you'd be black, and you'd go through that red again, and that would leave the red in the centre. Oh, that's good. That sounds lovely, doesn't it? But I've already started now. Yeah, I've already started now. I'll just carry on. Okie dokie. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up 3. So if I was doing that idea of Lorna's, I would then pick up a black one, a red one, and a black one. But so I'm going to go back through that first one. So each subsequent, we start off with 4, and then subsequently we go on to 3. You see, to create the next little square. Pull that tight. Go through the first one again. And then pull that tight. And there we go. You can see we're starting to form that little shape. Francis says, take it apart. I think I will. I'll take it apart and do the 2 colours. So let's see what happens. Let me just... It won't take long. See what we do. Oh, Jodie says, can you move the camera over slightly? There you go. Right. The things we do for lives. Let's start again. Let's get the black out. A little bit pile of the black. Thread my needle again. I'm doing that off camera because I have to get my old eyes. And this is a big eye needle, so I need to bring my glasses down like that. Right, so if I'm doing black up the centre, did we decide to do black in the middle or black on the sides? Hang on. Red, we're going to do black on the sides. Okay, so that means red's in the middle. So the first one's going to be red, then it's going to be black, then it's going to be red, and then it's going to be black. We'll soon find out. So my nice long tail at one end. So looking at that, it's going to come up. So we'll get it like that. So back through our first 4 beads. And then sort of push them together a little bit like that to force them. And then I'm going to go through So there we go. We're starting to form now with our red at the end. Alison says it's super. Should be watching this later, but temptation got me as I'm at work. This beading bug. I love it. And Tina says, I hate threading needles. Yes. It's a thing of the job, really. Coffee. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to do that next piece. So we've got the black on the side there, like that. So I'm going to pick up a black and a red and a black, and I'm going to go back through that last red from the previous round. So if you're using two colours like this, when you're threading on, you should be using a different colour to the one you've just come out of. So I've just come out of a red, so I should be using a black. I don't know if you can hear that, but I've got low-flying aircraft going over the top. That rumble, that's not me. That's an aircraft. So now I'm going to go into a black, a red, and a black. So each time I'm picking up 3 because I'm using the fourth one, the fourth corner. And if you think about this as north, south, east and west. So we've got north, south, east and west. Each time we're reusing our south bead. Right. So there we go. You see we're starting to get that lovely red row up. Oh, I'm really liking this. Thank you, Lorna, for that thought. You can see it happens quite quickly because these are 6mm marbles. So you can do it with other sizes, but you'll need to either adjust the size of these or the number of them you use to make them flat, because it's got those crystals that want to fit in between, and I found 1 wasn't enough and 3 was too many. So Paula says you can hear it. Yes, that's not my tummy rumbling or anything. It is actually an aircraft. Looks like pomegranate seeds. Bonnie, says Gabrielle. Yeah, it could be. Could be, couldn't it? They're just like little jewels. So I've come out of a red, so I'm picking up a black and a red and black. And each time we're just threading through and coming out that top one again. So there we go. I also quite like the way it moves. You know, when you're wearing it, it's kind of scrunchy. Lovely. Anyway, I digress. So, and Lorna says all red is lovely too. How rude, says Carol. My computer just completely shut down on its own. Took me ages to get back to the demo. Oh, Carol, did you have one of the, was it a blue screen of death, or did it just turn itself off because your battery is flat? Because I had that last night. I was busy doing a spreadsheet and I wasn't paying attention. I think I must have looked away when the low battery message came up. And all of a sudden, something I was working on, fortunately, had autosave on, so it wasn't a problem. But it was a little bit startling when it just went shutting down. And you just go, no. Right, so let's just pull that a little bit tighter because those are coming a little bit looser. So as I said, I am using wildfire, but you can use whatever beading threads you like. Right, so it's getting longer now, and you can see it's growing quite quickly. So each time I've come out of a red, so I'm going to put through the black. She said, no battery, okay, just decided to close on me. Well, isn't it rude when your computer makes judgments about you? You spent too long watching YouTube, I'm going to turn you off. How very dare they? Right, so back through the first two to bring me out opposite to where I started. That little tug. Don't worry if it feels a little bit loose at this point, as long as you keep it relatively tight, because we're going to go back in between and fill in the spaces with those lovely little crystal rondelles. So that's going to pull everything a lot tighter together, but do try and keep it so you've not got too big a gap. All right, so just give it an extra little tug every now and again. So let's pop. So black, red, black. So as I said, we're mixing the colours here for a bracelet, but if you just make it with a single colour, you use sort of, I'd say 2/3 of a strand. I've got tiny wrists though, so it's the only part of me that is tiny. So often when I'm making bracelets, you may need to make them a little bit longer in order to make them fit. But 2/3 of one will make something that long. If you're making a necklace, I would say possibly 2 or 3. But if you're doing something like this with the two colours, obviously, then you're going to be able to get a lot more out of your bundle. All right, so again, black, red, and black. Things like this, I think bracelets as well make lovely gifts because they're relatively quick to make and they're also quite easy to wear and quite easy to match up with something. So, you know, you may be thinking, do I go silver, jewellery? Should I do a necklace and earrings? Because I try to wear sets. Hang on, I've just got to move my thread. There we go. I try to wear sets, but it can be, it's like, do other people wear clip-ons? Or whereas a bracelet, anyone can wear a bracelet. Right, so we'll do another black. We're nearly there, actually. It does happen quite quickly. Lorna says it's not a rumbly tumbly. Joanne, how would I use this for a choker? How long do I need the thread? I would, if you're making this as a choker, which would be adorable, I wouldn't try and do it all with one thread, okay? Because you'll just get tangled into a knot. So I will show you in a minute, because I'm coming to the point where I would probably need to change my thread. So I will show you, because I'm not going to have enough thread to do the whole thing. So I work with this was probably about 25 inches, no, probably about 30 inches long, which is, you know, 80 centimetres, but that's because I've left quite a long tail at this end. I wouldn't try stitching like this, bead weaving, with something that long, because I just get it tangled around everything, and I would spend more time trying to untangle it than I would actually beading. So we will need to change our thread soon, so I will show you how we do that. Because basically we're going to weave the thread in. Lorna says, could use the little red crystals between the blacks. I was thinking that myself, actually, Lorna. I was thinking that might be quite nice. Now we've changed the colours a little bit. So, but I'll sort of have a look in a moment. Just having a look in my stash to see. I've got a couple of spare red ones there. Oh, amongst those blues. So we can have a sort of little audition, you know, where we put them next to each other to see. Let me just, little pops away. I just try and keep everything tidy. Oh, I do apologise if I've just deafened you. My phone is on Do Not Disturb, but that's somebody ringing my front doorbell at home. So I think the Do Not Disturb does not include the doorbell. So, so there we go. I think I've just had a parcel delivered. I hope I haven't deafened you too much. So Tina says, I don't know how to change thread. No, that's good. It's a very, it's deceptively simple, but important to know when you're working with threads like this. So right, there we go. Just a few more. And then we'll change the thread, because I would like to finish this to be able to wear it, because I'm rather loving the black and red colourways. What kind of thread did I am using? My Wildfire thread, and this one is a black. You can get them in other colours, but Superlon would be okay too. So or Nymo if that's what you've got. You just want something that's easy to thread. Yeah, I'm just trying to see what else I've got in my stash. Hold on. I've got, this is Fireline. There we go. It's Fireline, not Wildfire. So that's what I'm using there. But any bead threads will work. Superlon is good because it comes in a lot of different colours as well. So, right. Let's see how much longer I need to do this one. That's my original. You see, we're nearly there. Just a few more rounds, and we'll go back. And obviously, I need to change my thread as well, so that'll be quite useful to see. So we're going back through that first one. Those next two. Couple more rounds and we'll be done. So black, red, black, keep pulling as you go. Nearly all the way around. So Josephine, what size beads are you using? These are 6mm marble beads. So they are rather scrummy, very round. I just thought they had, I've been using a lot of crystals lately, but I really like the effect of these, and they feel really soft when you on your skin because they're so smooth. I just thought they were lovely, so I couldn't resist having a play with them. And are the holes a decent size? They look good with, because they would look good with micro macrame. So the holes are, now I'm not quite sure, hang on, what you would consider. Let's see if I can find one that you can see quite well, and get you zoomed in. Right, just bear with while I boing you a bit. Come on, refocus. Right, and you see the little hole there? Just get my needle to see if I can bring it in. This might be a bit dark. Yeah, I'm cutting out the light just there, but you should be able to see that is a reasonably sized hole. It's not like you're trying to get through a seed bead. So I don't know what size strand you would use with micro macrame, Anne, but that gives you an idea to the size of the hole. All right. Good morning, Shafika. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. So we'll go back through that first one, up through the next two. There we go, nearly there, nearly there. I think probably might actually be enough. Depends on what sort of toggle you're going to use. Yeah, I would say I'll just do one more round just to be safe. Right, so we've got black. It also depends on, as I say, what toggle you're going to use, how big your toggle is, whether you're going to use a toggle or a lobster claw. It's up to you. I've used a magnet on this one. Lorna says yes, experiment first. Right, okay. So there's my last set. I'm going to go around one more time. And I'm going to finish this thread. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through. Don't want to leave it too short. This is about as short as I would leave it. Right, so I'm going to come out of one of the beads. It doesn't matter which one you do this with, because you're going to do it a few times. So I have then got my, let's bring you in and zoom a little bit better. There we go. So, there we go. Right, so I've got my needle under the thread, like that. So this is the thread that's going between the two beads, and I'm going to loop through that one and pull that tight. Okay, and then I'm going to go through the next bead, and then I'm going to do the same this way and go through that loop. So I'm making a little knot, but when I pull it, it disappears back inside that previous bead. So I'm going to go through the next bead, wrap the thread around, wrap the needle around that thread and through the loop and pull it. You see, and that knot disappears up inside there. So you do that a few times, it's going to make it nice and secure. And I'm going to go through the last ones. And when I cut my thread, I like to come out in the middle bead rather than a bead on the edge. And then I'm going to pull that thread tight and get in with my snippers. And Josephine, can you use fishing line? I don't know whether you're asking if you can use fishing line for this or whether you can use fishing line for your micro macrame. But yeah, I suppose fishing line, yep. Right, so that is we've ended that thread. So now I need to start another one. So I've got myself another piece, which I'm just chopping off, right. So thread my needle. As I say, it's a big eye needle. Right, so what I'm going to do now is this is going to be the end. So I'm going to go back through down here, but this is where I want to start my next lot. So rather than guessing and starting from here and moving back, I'm actually going to start from the end. So this is the end, and then I'll rethread my needle. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back through a few. and then do a little knot like we did before. Pull it. Back through. Because you can very quickly with this, you know, just 2 of those, and that is really secure. So I can straight away work out how many knots I need to do or how far I need to go back, because that is nice and secure. All right, so I'll just do one more back here, and I'm going to come out of that red there, grab my scissors, chop off really close. It does mean you have to rethread for the other end, but right, so here we go. Grab the other end, pop that through my big eye needle, and now we're safe in the knowledge that we've done enough to hold that thread in place. Okay, so that the thread easily goes through a size 8 seed bead. So yeah, I'd say, and that these would be fine for that. So now we need to decide whether we're going to go with the silver, or with the white, or with the red, which I've got here. I think it has to be the red, don't you? Yes, so I'm going to do the red. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is start feeding round with the red. Lorna says, yes, could see it's got quite a big hole. Yeah. So let me grab some more of my red. Oh, I say that. There it is. I couldn't see it for looking. I was looking on my table, but they were already here. So let's get some red ones off. And now what I'm going to do with this is I actually want to put, I'm using the rondelles to make loops at the end to put whatever catch I want to on. Okay, so what I've done is with the first one, the gap between the first bead and that one there, I'm putting 1 on. Okay, so I'm going to put 1 red on there like that. All right, and then when I put my, or prepare to put my clasp on, I will come out of that, and that will be the first bead in my loop. But after that, we're just going to pick up 2, 1, 2, and again you could vary the colours if you want to, and go through the next black bead. This is why you don't want to work with them too long a thread, because you do get in a little pickle. And you pull that tight. Okay, like that. And you can see that pulls it nice. So thank you, Jackie. Nice to see you. All right, so I'm going to pick up 2 more of my little rondelle crystals and go back in through the next black one. Two more. Oh, not drop it on the table. You see that's pulling it, you see straight away, as soon as we put that in, it's tightening everything else up like we wanted it to. Patricia's overslept. Oh, bless, or slept late. We all need a little extra nap every now and again. Fortunately, Patricia, you're going to be able to watch this back afterwards. It's the joy of go lives. You can join us live or you can watch later. So hello to those of you who are watching later. Obviously I don't get to see those comments. All right, two more. And also, when you have finished your threads and you're finishing in the center, no worries, Bella, and you're finishing in the center, if you do end up with a little scrabby bit of thread showing, these outside pieces are going to hide that. So it's going to look very, very neat. So, a few more. I think there's a lot of people having a lie-in today. Right. As I said, if you're substituting something else, have a little practice, because when I put 3 in, what happened was it started to do this, which is great if that's what I'm trying to achieve, but it wasn't for what I wanted. And if I only put 1 crystal in, you either saw the threads or it curved sort of the other way. So, right. Though I have been working with waves lately, that's going to be coming in the new year for one of my tutorials. But for today, that wasn't what I was trying to achieve. So we're nearly down one side. So 2 between each of those, and you can see that's sort of made it a lot more robust along that side. Angela, yes, you could. You could alternate 3 and have a wavy bracelet. You can indeed. And then Tina says you can do 2, 3, 2, 3 for a necklace to sit nicely and curve around your neck. You could indeed, because what you could do is the bit that you want to curve, if you put 3 in one side, it'll curve like that. So that could be at the bottom of your neck, your décolletage, shall we say, and then the side bits, just do 2 either side and it would straighten out. So right, so I'm doing 1 at that end and round. And 1. So the end, this end, we just have 1 of each. Okay, and then all the rest are 2s again. So we need some more crystals. So our bracelet is nearly done, and then we just need to decide what clasp we're going to use. Now, that's up to you. I think we all have our preferences. What I'm going to do with this is when I create the loops at the end, I'm then going to add a jump ring. So I think for this, I'm going to use an antique black jump ring rather than a silver. But then it does depend on what you have in your stash, because silver would work. But I don't think with these colours, gold wouldn't. Gold would be a bit too blingy. So, but then sometimes you're sort of looking at your stash and you're going, oh, I want to use, you know, antique black or whatever, and you haven't got it. Or you want to use rose gold and you've only got gold. So Right. It's quite nice to do something from beginning to end in less than an hour, isn't it? Just so that you can see how you can actually do it. This is something as well, it doesn't require any maths or too deep thinking about, oh, doesn't want to come, too deep thinking about. So you could do this while you're watching the telly. Where's my red? Need a few more crystals just to finish. Right. So here we go. Coming up to those last crystals. So Jenny says, really prefer a single colour. So yes, that's what you've got. You've got the option. I've done blue. I could actually have put the blue crystals in between that as well, and it would have been completely blue, you know, like that. But that's the joy when you are the designer. With you choose your own colours, your own colour combinations. Some people like you know, to mix it up and be random. I think it's tricky to know what to do for somebody else, but easy to know what to do for yourself. Unless, you know, my friend Sarah, she always wears greens and browns and greys. So I would not make her either of these because they're not her colourway. Whereas I love bright colours. So I would definitely be wearing any of the colours that come in the pack because I've probably got just the outfit to go with it. In fact, you probably can't see at the moment, but I am wearing my turquoise top, which I'm very fond of because I made this to go with the necklace that I'm wearing, which I am also very fond of and don't wear very often if I haven't got a top for it to go with. So I design things for my clothing to go with the jewellery. Right, so I'm coming up towards the end now, and right, so I'm going to do one more and go into that last bead. Tina says sometimes the colours you least expect go well. I mean, as well, yeah, it's about contrast as well as matching. So, you know, you can go online and have a look at a colour wheel, and if you've got colours that are opposite each other, they will work together. And if you're doing 3 colours, if you look at the third, they will go well as well. But also 2 colours next to each other will go together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about my loop. All right, so for my loop, I used 6. Yes, I added 6 crystals to this. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the just pinged them all off. Hang on. 1, 2, 3. Camille says, I wear black a lot and every colour goes well with it. Indeed, it does. That is a good option. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I use 6 because you see that will sit nicely over the top like that. Cover it quite nicely and still give me room to put a jump ring in. Right, so I'm just going to come back through those. There's my creating my loop like that, and I'm going to go back through that last couple of beads and then back up through those because I want to pull it tight. because at the moment you see there's a little gap in there. There's a little gap between those two, which you want to get rid of. So if I come back up through that first bead there and then through the new 6, it will pull that tight. And then we're nice and secure. Okay, you see that pulls it much tighter and much neater. So I'm going to go back through, and because these holes are nice and big on here as well, I can go backwards and forwards as many times as I need to secure the threads, because there's lots of room in between those holes. So there we go. There is our top bead covered by those. And I'm going to go back and do one of those knots like I did before. And I can go either through the crystals down the side or back through the centre ones as well. Right, so I'll go through those crystals there and then I'm going to trim that off. All right, so scissors. Right, so that's one end finished. Let's take the other end, and I'm going to repeat that at the other end. So another 6 beads, pick up 6 from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And go back down into that first one there. Back through, round. And go through all of those crystals again. So you should end up with 8 in the loop because you've got 1 either side that you've included as well. Right. So this is why I like to keep this nice and long, because I've managed to finish off that loop nicely and weave in the ends, knowing everything's going to be nice and secure. Right, one more knot. And then into the centre, and I'm going to cut it. Oh, there we go. So I'm just going to put my needle away so that I don't lose it or later on more worryingly sit on it. So I'm just going to pop that back into there. Now I need to grab my findings. So let's have a look how we're going to finish this. So I need some, let's have a look what I've got clasp wise. I've got some little toggles, that could be quite nice. Little black toggles. I've got some nice big toggles. I've got a selection of lobsters, and those are all in black. And then I'm just looking for my stash of, somewhere I have, there we go, all of my jump rings. So I've got a little pack of black jump rings there, so that's what I'm going to use. So want 2 of those. And as I said, I use magnets on the other one, which I'm a big fan of, but it does concern me that I think that's beautiful. That's a beautiful clasp on there, but it does concern me that I will catch that on my coat. So I think I'll save that for necklaces. I'm going to take that off and put one on that's a bit more secure. So I tend to stay away from little lobsters like this because I find them quite tricky to put on. So Tina says big toggle. Yeah, I'm thinking big toggle. That's going to make it easy to put on. So here we go. I've got a big toggle like that. I've also got these quite delicate little toggles too, which might be quite nice. So let's just have a look. So again, I'm auditioning. Actually, I think the big toggle looks better. Let's go big. As they say, go big or go home. So I'm going to get my 2 sets of pliers and I'm going to open up my jump ring. So if you've not seen these before, you open your jump ring by pushing one side away from you and one side towards you, like that. You don't pull them apart that way, all right? And then I'm going to pop that in that gap there that I've left. So Tina says big, Camille says big as well. Yep, definitely. All right. It's also less fiddly when you do big things, to be honest. All right, and then let's just twizzle that back. So we push those back into each other. It is easier if you've got 2 sets of flat nose. But my second pair of flat nose are at home, so I'm using round ones just to hold. And snap that back in place. There you go. So you see we've got one end. What finding would you suggest for a choker? Joanne, a choker, a magnet would be quite good for a choker, because what you don't want is to choke. But a magnet one would be quite good, or something that lies flat, because it's going to be sitting quite tightly around the neck in order for it to stay in place. So I would perhaps go for something. You could go for something magnetic, as I said, or something that is relatively flat rather than having sort of lots of pokey out bits. I stick away from lobster, I think, because that's going to be quite tricky to put on, unless you're particularly good at putting your chokers on, or necklaces. I do find they're a bit of a struggle, unless I can turn them around and look at them, which obviously you can't with a choker. Right, so let's take the other one, and we'll pop that one on there as well. So I'm trying to get it in the middle, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter because it will find its level. And then twist those back. And there we go, from beginning to end. If I didn't do the gas in at the beginning, we would have done that in an hour. So, and then I pop my toggle through. Because I always say, I find these really easy to put on, and then I'm trying to do it without being able to see and under a massive light. There we go. So I've got my little bracelet, and there's the one that we did in the single colour. I say we. The one I did in the single colour with the magnet. That one goes perfectly with my outfit. So it looks really lovely, doesn't it? So just to recap. Here we go, there's my 2 new bracelets. So just to recap, I used the the marble. So let's have a look at where they are. So as usual, Simon has, or they put up the page for us on the website. So if I just go back a page, you'll see what I mean. So there are all the Facebook tutorials. So if you've not joined us before, And I know some of you are brand new. If you go to the Totallybeads website, up in the top right hand corner, it says video tutorials. So, and the latest one is here. So this is me. Can it be the 9th of December already? Isn't that just scary? So click on that, and that's where you will find, obviously you can click on go to the video up here, but this is where you will find all those lovely marble beads that I've been using, 6mm. You can get them in individual strand, and I mean, I use less than 1 strand for the bracelet. So if you're making to sell, £1. So that plus the crystals, and here are the crystals up there, the 2x3 crystals that I've used in between. So if we click on that one, you'll see in there all of those lovely 2x3 crystals in all of those gorgeous colours. So you can pick those. So, and there's 200 pieces on a strand. Now, I've not used more than probably half a strand on each one. So again, an incredibly cost-effective gift. Oh dear. Since I'm still showing myself, let's go back. Right. So there was me clicking everything merrily. So let's backtrack. Right. So if you go to the Facebook page, top right up here, it's just when I click on the website, I don't see you anymore. So that's why I didn't know. Sorry about that. Up in the right hand corner here, you've got your tutorials. Then you'll see the latest one here, and you can click on the Facebook and that'll take you straight through to the Facebook page where we do the lives. And here we go. And obviously you can come back here as well. It takes a few minutes once we've finished the go live to upload, but you can come back and watch it at any time from here as well. And we've got all of those. Yes, Kitty, I did mean to share my screen. Thank you. Yeah, we've got all those lovely marble beads, and then at the top here we can click on the crystals, and you can see all of those crystal rondelles. Now the ones that I'm using, because they fit just perfectly, is the 2x3. Okay, so those, or 2x3 here, they fit perfectly in between. 2 of them. As I said, 3 makes it curve one way and 1 is a little too loose. But you can play around with them. So yeah, there we go. We've got all of those elements there, and you can use those to make yourself a bracelet. So thank you very much for joining me again. I can see Joanne says, have a fantastic day, or great tutorial. Thanks for all the advice. My pleasure. My pleasure. It's actually, I really look forward to Wednesdays. I get to play with my stash and get all my lovely crystals out. And as I said, next week, we've got a bit more of a sort of bead along. So if you bought the kits from Kitty's Go Live yesterday, the wreath with those beads, you can join in next week when we make these. So you'll also need memory wire. Okay, I used 0.6mm because it is still quite bendable. And then we've also got the charms on the bottom. Kitty has shared the link through to these charms. You can also use them with header pins like that. So this is some of the charms as well. So this is a slightly different way of using it, but there you go. So you can add those in together, add those into your basket, you know, with your bracelet bits, and we can do these together next Wednesday, and that'll be my last one of 2020, and then we'll be back at 2021. Will the end of the bracelet be narrow enough to put a toggle through the loop? What do you mean? Hang on, let me just come back to my hands. Do you mean put that straight through? Yes, you could. You could put that straight through between the crystals as well without putting the, yeah, boingy, Tina, without putting the little jump ring on if you want to. It's up to you. Because you're basically, it's just when you make this loop, when you make this loop at the end of those, you need to thread your toggle on before you sort of carry on and finish off your thread. I hope that makes sense. They look beautiful. I'm munching on some homemade honeycomb. Finding that recipe may be a huge mistake. Oh, bless you, Jackie. Fantastic. Well, I hope you all have a chance to have a play with some bracelets, because the thing is, a bracelet is just a short necklace, really. You can make these longer and make them into necklaces if you want to, or chokers, as we've seen. These are going to become for who was it who wanted to know about the choker? Was it Joanne? I'm not sure. I'm not sure who it was. I'm just skimming back in. Yes, it was Joanne. Yeah. So if you're going to make yours into a choker, just need it a bit longer. So anyway, have a lovely weekend, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me again. As I said, I'll be back next week on Wednesday, my last one of 2020, and then I'll be back in January. So yeah, we thought we'd have a little bit of a bead along next week. So memory wire, beads, and some charms, and then we'll have some fun, and I'll see you soon. So Lorna says they look good stacked too. Yeah, look at that. They are. So I'll see you soon. Anyway, you have lots of fun. Stay safe, stay warm, and look after yourself, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.